What is going on, everybody? You got Matty Brolic here, and I am back for the first time in a while for some Smogon OU competitive content. Now, if you guys do not follow my channel, just regular Matty Brolic, then you may not know that that's what I built my channel upon. It was just built on Smogon competitive content, mostly just OU. And yeah, I've kind of fallen out of that to follow my passion, which is actually Draft League. The Draft League format I find to be more enjoyable, but when Sun and Moon came out, there was just too many things for me to test out and try to have some fun building with and playing with. So, I went out of my way to build some teams, test with some friends, join some tournaments, and that is what I have for you guys today, a tournament, as I decided to join a cash tournament in the Pokemon Central Facebook group. So yes, you can actually win cash if you win the tournament. The first prize, I believe, is $35, which obviously nothing crazy, but it's pretty cool to just win that playing Pokemon. So it's definitely a nice incentive to join. If you guys have any interest in playing in any of these types of tournaments or joining the Facebook group, I will leave the link in the description below so you can check it out yourself. So now we will get into the battle the situation, as it was a 64-man tournament for, like I said, $35, and there were a lot of Smogon Premier League players, SPL, pretty high-level tournament players joining this tournament, so I knew there would be a lot of good competition for me to potentially face and test out my pretty interesting teams on. So I was definitely excited to see who I would get first round, and it turns out I got my friend Arjun, who is a guy who's been around on the competitive scene for a while, so he definitely knows what he's doing, so I know he will be a pretty solid opponent. So here I brought a team that was kind of unusual at the time, and still is. Things like Excadrill don't really exist very much in Sun and Moon, but it was actually a Spadef Excadrill, which is really nice at the time for things like Tapu Koko and things like Scarf Tapu Lele, which he may have right here, and Toxic Spikes Dragalge, but also with the Dragon Z move, which is really, really strong with adaptability. So I thought that was pretty cool, as well as Banded Pheromosa, which wasn't that common at the time and still isn't that common, but at that time no one was really running Banded. So Thundurus also is a Pokemon that no one really ran at the time and still does not. So pretty interesting team, as we'll get right into it. I lead with my Banded Pheromosa, he leads with his, and if he's Scarfed, then it won't do too much damage to me. Like, it'll do a good amount because Pheromosa is so frail, but not enough to the point where my Pheromosa will be crippled or anything. So I can stay in here, because if he's not Scarfed, then there's a chance that I could even, win a speed tie. But unfortunately, he's Life Orb, and he wins the speed tie, which really kind of sucks, because now he gets to go right into his Landorus, as I go for the U-turn as well, and I have to take the Rocky Helmet damage. So that sucks, because my Pheromosa is already at 19%. So here I go right into my Rotom, and in case he tries to get his rocks up immediately, especially to not allow my Pheromosa to come back in, I'm just going to go right for the Hydro Pump, as I just barely miss out on the KO, and he goes for the Stealth Rock. So here I missed the Will-O-Wisp, which kind of sucks, just because he doesn't have leftovers. Will-O-Wisp would knock him out the next time, he stayed in for a turn. So his Landorus would basically be useless, and this U-turn, if he decides to go for it, would do less damage as well. But I guess it is what it is, but it's annoying because I lost the speed tie turn 1 and missed the Will-O-Wisp. So here, he goes for the U-turn, as now he goes right into his Tapu Lele. Now here, if he's like a Specs variant and goes for something like Specs Focus Blast or HP Fire, then my Excadrill, even though it is Spadef, will not be a good switch in. So I am just going to stay in here knowing I could take a hit if he's Scarfed, which he does look like he'd be Scarfed by the makeup of his team, especially knowing that the Pheromosa is Life Orb. So here I just stay in and go right for the Thunder Wave, as I paralyze this Tapu Lele. Thankfully I hit. But now, with the new way Thunder Wave works, it only halves speed. Scarf Tapu Lele will actually outspeed Rotom. So I'm going to switch right into my Excadrill, as he makes a good play and goes into his Landorus here, as now I'm pretty much forced to attack this thing. I can't spin, as I go right for the Iron Head, knowing that I would outspeed it because my Rotom outsped it, and now he goes into his Greninja, and I do not want to let this Greninja get its evolution off, and either way, Rotom's not that important, so even if he is Protean, Rotom is my sack at this point. So it turns out that he is Battle Bond, and he is Ash Greninja, as here I'm forced to go into my Tapu Lele, so I could just go right for Moonblast or HP Fire here in case he wants to go Metagross, but he does go Tapu Lele, so I just go right for the HP Fire. Now I'm going to switch out into my Excadrill, because even if he does HP Fire like he does, it is not a 2-hit KO. So here, I could just go right for the Earthquake. I believe I went into that in case he pivoted into Metagross or Rotom, as that does very solid damage to the Tapu Lele. And it looks like rocks are going to stay up on the field. I am going to pivot out into Dragalge, though, just because if he does stay in to go for another HP Fire, to prevent the Rapid Spin, I can get up a layer of Toxic Spikes, which could be pretty useful for me. So here, I'm going to go right for that, as he actually gets paralyzed here. So now I can't hit this thing with a Sludge Wave. I probably should have went for HP Fire here. Not sure why I didn't, but he goes right into his Metagross, as here I'm going to sack my Excadrill, as it gets outsped by Scarf Tapu Lele, and the only thing it may be able to outspeed is Rotom, so really not very useful. As here I go into my Thundurus. I can't want to KO this thing, but I just needed a lot of damage off on it, so I could knock it out with things like Pheromosa or Scarf Lele. As here he goes into his Greninja, and he is poisoned, and he's also a Dark type, so I cannot paralyze him with Prankster Thunder Wave. As here, I go into my Pheromosa, and this was actually my plan, because once, since he got pretty lucky earlier on, and it looked like I was in a pretty bad spot, I realized that if I could keep my Pheromosa alive and get the Psychic Terrain up and make sure the Landorus is gone, then I could spam Bandit High Jump Kick and put a huge dent into his team. So, because the Psychic Terrain was up, which was also kind of my plan, I needed the Psychic Terrain to be up first before I could do this. Now I could potentially sweep or do a ton of damage with Pheromosa, because he cannot pick me off with priority, and I outspeed his whole team, as I just go right for the High Jump Kick, as he switches in his own Pheromosa, and that goes right down. As now I get the Speed Boost, which isn't really going to matter much, as he goes right into his Rotom, and this just knocks it right out, as he should have gone into his Metagross there, because he would have been able to live a hit. But either way, as you see, this does 84 to Metagross, so I would have been able to pretty much sweep with Scarf Lele, and the use of also Dragalge could help too. So here, I go into my Lele, and Moonblast is strong enough to knock out the Metagross from here, so I'll be able to just pick up the win by clicking Moonblast. He can't even go for Water Shuriken here because of the Psychic Terrain, so we pick up that first win after a rocky start, as now we move on to Game 2. And for anyone who knows me and sees that I like to say use Comfy all the time and just kind of advocate for Comfy, I'm about to show you guys why. So, as the Sun and Moon meta came out, I was definitely one of the first people to realize how good Comfy could actually be. Even in OU, with a lot of these crazy, powerful behemoths and whatnot, you just need to really support it well. So, pairing it with things like Scarf Dug Trio, Assault Vest Magnezone are really good ways to trap and remove or weaken Comfy's checks and counters. And that's also quite nice for things like Hoopa, because you could trap certain things that Hoopa can't break, but Hoopa pretty much breaks everything, and Hoopa's kind of like the stall breaker. Hoopa and Comfy both pretty much break stall, as Landorus and Tapu Fini is just one of the most solid backbones in the tier. But Hoopa, or, this team at the time was pretty good, but now things like Charizard Y that are more common make it way harder for this team to do anything, because I just have no switch-ins or no way of even really forcing it out. So this was a team that's old, and I wouldn't recommend using it now, but it was pretty good at the time. As this matchup is kind of tough, though, because especially for Comfy, he's got a hard counter in Metagross, and he has Tapu Lele with the Psychic Terrain, and I can't even use Priority Draining Kiss in the Psychic Terrain. If you guys don't know how Comfy's ability works, it gives all healing moves, including healing attacking moves like Giga Drain, Draining Kiss. If you had something like Drain Punch, it gives all those moves priority, but not just normal priority, +3 priority. So even more priority than Extreme Speed, which is crazy. So that actually makes Comfy quite the threat if it can get up a few Calm Minds, and that is the set that I am running here on this team. So the problem is, if Tapu Lele has Psychic Terrain up, then I can't attack my opponents with Draining Kiss. So unless they're off the ground, of course. So here, anyway, we will get right into the battle, as he leads with his Pheromosa, as I lead with Landorus. Now I need to switch out here. Getting the Intimidate is nice, because even if he has Poison Jab, he can't do too much to my Tapu Fini, and I don't want to risk the Ice Beam. So here, he goes into his Landorus, as here I go right for the Nature's Madness, and of course I miss. So That's kind of unfortunate because here I'm forced to go for it again and take a good amount of damage from this Volt Switch. As here he goes right into his Metagross, and this is one of the biggest threats, and I want to weaken this to put it in range of a Scarf Dog Trio's Earthquake. So I'm just going to stay in. I know he can't knock me out from here, even though he could do a ton of damage, and I'm just going to go right for the Moonblast. I mean the Nature's Madness, and get 50% off on this Metagross, putting it in range of like a Scarf Dog Trio and whatnot. So that is very nice for me. As here I can go into Landorus because it's not that likely that he would go for Ice Punch, and even if he did, I'd be able to live it after I get the Intimidate, and you know, because he doesn't have the clear body on the first turn anymore. So now I pivot into Magnezone just in case he wants to go for the Ice Punch here. But he actually goes into his own Landorus. I probably should have saw that coming and made a better middle ground play there, but whatever, it wasn't too big of a deal. As here I can go back into my own Landorus as he goes for his Rocks, as I'm able to go for my Stealth Rocks as well. As he goes for the U-turn, taking a little bit of damage, which is nice. As now he goes into his Pheromosa, and he goes right for the Ice Beam. I stayed in just in case he tried to go for a Rapid Spin, as I didn't really have any switches to this anyway. So here I can go right into Comfy, and Draining Kiss was supposed to be like almost a guaranteed kill here, and of course I get like a min roll and don't knock out the Pheromosa, but it is okay because he goes for the U-turn and it does knock himself out. So I do take a little bit of unnecessary damage, but no big deal. As here he goes into his Metagross, and unfortunately my Landorus is gone, so I need to just sack Tapu Fini. I can't get that nice Rocky Helmet residual off on him anymore, but no big deal. As here I can go right into my Dugtrio. Even if he has Bullet Punch, I should be able to take it from here, as I do just do that and knock him out with Earthquake. As here he can go into his Landorus, as here I just go into Hoopa, because even if he does go for U-turn, Hoopa is the least useful here. And Dugtrio could trap Lele, it could trap Greninja, or at least damage Greninja under Psychic Terrain, which those things are pretty nice, because I'm expecting the Scarf Lele here, so Scarf Dugtrio will outspeed. So here I just go into Hoopa as he does U-turn. If he Earthquaked, I would have been able to take one and fire off a hit, pretty much putting me in an amazing position, but no big deal. As here comes Comfy the God, as I am going to go right for a Calm Mind. Even if he has Will-O-Wisp, which he probably does, he can't burn me in the Misty Terrain, and I have Taunt, and the Calm Mind reveals that I do outspeed him, so I could taunt him if he decides to stay in, but he goes right for the Volt Switch, as I am at +2 Spadef here, and he goes into his Landorus T, as Comfy is not that bulky on the physical side, but I am max defense. As you'll see, Comfy's eating up these Earthquakes quite nicely, so now he is just going to keep spamming Earthquake. He gets a crit, but I could just keep going for Synthesis, as the cool thing about Draining Kiss is that even though it's a very weak move, it heals 75% of damage dealt, and Comfy is really low HP, so a max HP Landorus will be giving me a lot of HP back. As here, I could force him to taste these lips and go right for the Draining Kiss, but he's not even afraid of that because he's got the Rocky Helmet, and apparently kissing your opponent takes Rocky Helmet damage, so he's like, yeah, bro, kiss me, but I'm like, all right, you know, I'm not really into that, but I got to do what I got to do, so I Draining Kiss him, knock him out, and now here he goes into Tapu Lele, and I'm just going to go right for the Synthesis here because, like I said, I cannot attack this Lele. As it turns out, he doesn't have this Psyshock, which Psyshock on Scarf Lele isn't really the best in my opinion because it really doesn't break Chansey. It only can be useful if like you really have good ways to keep hazards up and you want to prevent Chansey from switching in safely to Lele. But like I said, it really doesn't break Chansey too well on like a well-built stall team or something like that. So here, he's only got Psychic in his plays to crit me. So what I could just do is stall out the Psychic Terrain and then just click Draining Kiss, because here that Psychic is going to do nothing, and I'm going to get tons of HP back if he stays in. But he makes the right play and goes out into Rotom. But as you see, I go back up to 77% from 40-something after that Draining Kiss. So here it goes into Lele again, and I'm just going to go for another Calm Mind here because that really is my only play, as I just need to stall out the Psychic Terrain one more time pretty much. Well, 2 more times basically, but if I stall it out one more time and he sacks his Greninja, Magnezone 1v1s Tapu Lele anyways. Dugtrio traps it, so it's really not a problem. As here, he goes for the Psychic, as I go for another Calm Mind. So now, what I could do right here, and I did acknowledge this during the game, is that I could go right out into my Magnezone, because if I go into Magnezone, I'm a max HP Assault Vest Magnezone that could easily eat up a Psychic, and then if I click Volt Switch, Tapu Lele will be pretty heavily weakened to the point where if it comes back in on rocks, it's in range of like a Draining Kiss. I could just go right to Dugtrio and trap it, and then Comfy easily 1v1s Greninja. I have an absolutely guaranteed win if I do that. But if I stall out the Psychic Terrain one more turn, then Comfy basically gets almost a 6-0 sweep, which would be really, really cool and just hilarious. So I'm going to opt to stay in because I just need to stall out one more turn of the Psychic Terrain. As I go for the Synthesis, as you're going to see, he crits me with the Psychic. So now I'm actually in a bad spot because I'm going to Volt Switch here because, what's it called? If he does go into Greninja, predicting a Flash Cannon, then the Greninja goes down, and if he does stay in with Tapu Lele, what's it called? If it is a Specs Ash Greninja, I could force it to go for Water Shuriken, and then my Magnezone will be in a great spot to just pick off the Greninja, and easily eat up a Water Shuriken and just pick off the Greninja with an Electric attack. But and also if he's Protean, same thing. He probably won't have Water Shuriken, and I could just you know, either knock him out with Earthquake or come close to knocking him out with Earthquake and then just knocking him out with Magnezone. But as you're going to see, I go for the Volt Switch here, and it turns out that after I trap this Lele with Dugtrio, he is actually going to be the Life Orb Ash Greninja, which I think Specs is so much better. And I also think Protean is better than both of them, but he's Life Orb, which is actually really unfortunate because now I go into Magnezone, and even though Magnezone is AV, Life Orb Ash Greninja Hydro Pump is actually almost a guaranteed knockout on my Magnezone here. So this is not looking too good as I have an 80% chance to lose, but some justice finally, and I Thunderbolt him for the win as Comfy got robbed of its sweep. But it is okay because we got a little bit of justice. That was one of the first times I've ever really seen like true justice in Pokemon because like I missed the Nature's Madness earlier on, which was like not huge, but it was kind of important because I would have been able to play around the Rotom a little more effectively. I wouldn't have had to take that Volt Switch damage, and I could have had my Finny around longer. But you know, such is life, such is Pokemon, and what else was I going to say? Like, you know, the last game I got hacked as well. And then also with this game, I did have a guaranteed win rate, so I did get greedy. I know that's on me. But still, like, you know, the chances of him critting me still were pretty low. And he got the crit exactly when he needed to. So that was unfortunate because that Comfy would have just been a great moment to fully pretty much sweep his team with the Comfy. But, you know, everyone witnessed the power. Everyone saw that the only way to defeat Comfy was by getting lucky. So that's all I really wanted to accomplish. So me and Arjun had a pretty fun series. Definitely a hacksy one, but it was fun. And yeah, that is about it. So we move on to round 2, and I will be uploading each round as they come out. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Definitely let me know what you guys thought in the comments below. If you do have any interest in joining Pokemon Central, like I said, I will leave the link in the description, and you guys can check it out and join. And yeah, that is about it. So most importantly, I hope you all have a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next one. Later.